welcome back to the Melanin Matter, and this week we're going to be talking about Meghan and Harry's interview with Oprah, and basically how the media has responded to that, Piers Morgan's reaction, and the implication of perceived interracial relationships, I guess, kind of.
So yeah. Guess you kind of want to start off on like our reaction to the
just
interview.
Like the interview in general. I felt when I sat down to watch it, I went in kind of like, cause as a black woman, you kind of know
the vibe.
Yeah, you just know a little bit, and I literally listened to everything.
Same.
And I really felt like I heard every word.
And
I thought deeply about it.
I don't know, the thing is as well to take into account is that like Meghan is by far not the blackest woman you'll ever see.
No,
she's mixed race.
No.
She is mixed race, and she's like white passing at best, and so like she's someone who obviously probably isn't feeling things as badly as if she were even like a lot darker than that and more obviously black. And the fact that even in her case that she was still had to deal with everything that she dealt with, I found completely ridiculous, because I was like, oh, well then what hope do I have, for instance, in the world of, potentially, like, am I just never gonna get to a level where I'm treated equally to people who are white? Like, it's just, that was the first thing that I was really shocked about. I did not like the whole conversation about the whole how dark the baby's gonna be. I thought that was ridiculous. Because like, if you have any common sense, I'm sorry to say, but that baby is 3/4 white.
Yeah.
He's gonna be mostly white, first of all.
Oh yeah. If Meghan's like white passing, her baby's gonna be like basically white.
And even her dad he's the one who's black, and I think, right? Or is he white?
No, her
mom's
black.
Her mom's black.
Got dreads.
Yeah.
Shout out to having dreads.
But she's also like not that dark as well, so I don't see how that would be relevant, first of all. But the fact that the question was even asked, I think is ridiculous, and it kind of like took me back to like a lot of conversations that like couples will have about like, oh, either baby can have a certain eye color or I just think that whole conversation is crazy and ridiculous.
100%.
Then like taking away the title as well of the baby, I did not understand the reasoning behind that. Like, what reasoning is there other than
and
like
it like
racist
never
one?
happened before, and then just like right now.
I think how I felt when I was watching it, like as you said, I watched it like I like digested everything. I didn't really say much. I was just watching. And like I wasn't surprised. Like I really wasn't shocked. Like the stuff that she was saying, I was just like, I kind of like, I'm not surprised that this is happening. Like disappointed that this would happen. But I'm not surprised at all.
But what I thought was funny is that a lot of people were surprised, and I was like, why are you surprised?
Are we like living in the same world? Like how is this shocking?
I mean, clearly not.
I was not shocked, not even like a little bit.
No.
Honestly.
The only thing that shocked me was that she was like, her skin colour, like how light she was compared to like the abuse that she was getting. I was like, how, like, not saying that you should be getting more.
No.
But I was just surprised.
But the reality is, you do get worse shit.
Yeah.
When you are darker, and when you do not pass as anything other than
black.
Your race, than black. Like, I think with people who are mixed, we tend to be a lot more racially ambiguous. That's a word that's been coming up recently. And that in itself is an advantage, and the fact that advantage did jack shit for her in the royal family just, I thought, was pretty disappointing again. I didn't think it was surprising, but very much disappointing.
Yeah, and it just goes to show like how literally like deeply rooted and how entrenched like these views in that like constitution, like that whole like organization, that family.
And it's like, if the royal family thinks this and acts this way, for instance, it doesn't surprise me that the rest of the population acts the same way.
I remember like reading this article where this BBC presenter compared, like, he tweeted this picture comparing Meghan's baby to a monkey.
Of course.
And literally, and like that shocks me. So I was like, this baby is like, as you said, like what, 3/4 white? And that 1/4 means that you can tweet something
that's
like
how
that.
it is in, like, that's literally our society. It doesn't matter like how much it's like, for example, like you and me, like we're literally like, if you think about like the statistics, we are equally white as we're equally black, but society will always be like, nope, you're black.
Yeah, I've always perceived myself as being black because that's how society has treated me.
Yeah.
And like, it's only since coming to the UK that has been slightly different, because I've actually felt the fact that I'm mixed rather than black. But anywhere else before that, I've always felt black because that's how I was treated. I was treated to make me feel like that black portion of me was a lot more important than the white portion of me.
And I think that Meghan interview kind of like reinstated that if you are any part black, you are like gonna be treated like that, and it doesn't matter how white passing that you are. Which is just I think that's the most shocking part, not how she was treated.
I think the aspect as well that I kind of wanted to address was the whole like mental health aspect to it, and the fact that she wasn't given any mental health support, and that I just couldn't understand why. Because they are the royal family. They have made so many passes for the prince, Harry's father, and he has literal allegations against him of raping a child at a sex party, and there's like photo evidence of him with this child. So like, all I'm saying is that this is a bit odd that they're willing to like speak against stuff like this.
I think if you take away like race, take away all of that,
it's
like,
just
as an
inhumane.
issue of mental health. I think if someone's saying like, I was feeling suicidal, regardless of their gender and their ethnicity, you should just take that statement for what it is, because it's bigger than that. It's your mental health.
And I don't think the mental health part was even rooted in race, if I'm being completely honest. I mean, it might have affected things a little bit, but I don't think that denying her that was rooted in racism. I just think that it was ridiculous. I think it's just in general, they might have had maybe a little bit less respect for her, or didn't think of her as important. And I don't know if that has something to do with race or not, but what I do know is that is a fact. So
no, literally, that's why I've been so like, it's really like irked me when I've heard like people, or just like reading random comments, hearing people talk about it, because I feel like a lot of people are focusing on like, oh, but like she's so privileged, and like, I mean, but it's not like, we're not questioning her privilege here. We're talking about like how she was treated, and like why she was treated that way, and that's literally like basic human decency, to just like respect like mental health like that. Like
I just honestly, like, after like the little snippet came out, this wasn't even after the full interview, like the little snippet came out, everyone was on Instagram posting about, different reactions to it, or like, and the amount of comments that I read that were absolutely despicable. And it's not even just a comment that's like, oh, it's just a joke. It's like, people would defend their comment when people would comment underneath that. And I was just kind of like, I just thought it was like ridiculous. Like, genuinely, I can, if I can find some, honestly, I will bring them up right now, because I remember saying this to my friends and being like, what the fuck?
I don't understand how, like, for example, if like a gay person was to talk about how they've been, if they felt kind of comments made about them in terms of like their sexuality, being a straight person, I wouldn't comment on that. I'd be like, that's what you've experienced, because obviously I can't experience it being straight. So in terms of like race, I don't understand how you can comment on someone talking about how they feel like they've been targeted for their race when you can't experience that, if that makes sense. Like, you can't comment on someone's experience when you haven't experienced it yourself.
And it's made me pissed off because a lot of people out there think that they have that place.
It's
like what?
Literally, I like some of the comments here. Some of them are great, because some of them are like, yep, Prince Andrew hasn't got any of this hate or backlash, and he actually did something bad illegal. So some of them are like calling out his behavior and calling out the behavior of like the actual queen. It's not a joke. The Crown's next season's gonna be fire.
I know, I saw that one.
And I thought that was hilarious. But then literally, it's like, here there's one person, they cut him off because he wanted to live a normal life, yet they still announced their baby to press and have Oprah interviews. They don't even know what normal is. And then they also put, the family wouldn't be given paid security because they are no longer royals. Meghan and Harry decide to leave, and they no longer get public funds. If they want funding, do the job. Like, people are not understanding the decisions that came behind that, and it's very, like, they've made it clear as to why they chose to leave, and that it wasn't an option that they felt that they had to choose. It was like a necessity for them. And, like, Jesus Christ, it's just all of this.
It's the fact that they're being treated that way, not what they're, like, getting. I feel like...
Literally, another person. She says, the press don't like her, the royal family don't like her, the staff don't like her, and her own family don't like her. If you bump into that many people that don't like you, I would suggest you take a look at yourself.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It's just, like...
Very bold.
Since you don't know her family.
It's just, I don't know, everyone's also saying, like, oh, but this is just her side, like, we don't know the other side. They're basically, like, and I remember, like, just reading through these and thinking, like, this is ridiculous. Like, also someone put, if I was Meghan, I'd avoid tunnels, because that's where Diana died. Just, like, a lot of, I don't get what she tries to get out of this. Like, what is their aim? Trying to drag the royal family through the mud. What is the purpose? Like,
dude, that's what I'm saying. A
typical white girl is saying this in the comments, and she doesn't get it. You know, she doesn't get it.
And I feel like that's also portrayed so much in the media. Like, literally, like, dragging down Black women, women of color, like, and focusing on those, like, negative aspects when it's not even that's in question.
Yeah.
Like, I was listening to this podcast, literally on my way here.
Yeah.
And it's by The Guardian. They do, like, this, like, the daily thing. Like, Today in Focus, and they talk about, I definitely recommend that. But
okay.
It's for another time. And they had an episode on the Meghan and Harry
situation.
Reaction. Yeah. And they were literally talking about, like, how people would focus on the completely wrong things and how the media spins it. And there are so many instances where, like, for example, when they talked about Kate's baby bump and how it was like, oh, like, so pretty and so, like, extravagant and, like, blah, 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 and they were talking about, like, Meghan's baby bump, and they were literally saying, like, so many negative things about it. And when Kate was eating avocados, it was, like, this amazing thing. When Meghan was eating avocados, she was dragged down for it. Like, I mean, isn't that saying something?
Yeah, in my opinion it is. And I think that another thing that I noticed as well from these comments is that people were choosing to focus on something that had absolutely nothing to do with the actual interview and what they were talking about. So people saying, like, oh, well, she should have known if she was going to get into the royal family. I'm sorry, anybody who signs up to marry someone that they love and they, first of all, happen to be in the royal family, okay? It's not like she needed the money. She was already rich to start off with. It's not like, a lot of people are like, oh, she's a gold digger, whatever. Okay.
It's like,
Suits, like, I'm just saying, Suits did very well. She is fine on her own.
Yes.
And, like, a lot of different points in time, like, there were people who just were like, oh, but why is she speaking out against the Queen? First of all, no one spoke out against the Queen. Every single time they were super respectful of the Queen. They always said that the Queen had nothing to do with that, and the Queen was super respectful the entire way and was always told about things and wasn't left out in the dark or whatever. So people saying, like, oh, they blindsided the Queen, like, no. First of all. And then, like, because I remember Piers Morgan getting very pissed off about how Meghan talked about the Queen when she never said anything disrespectful about any people of the royal family. She never said anything disrespectful against them. She literally just said positive things, and she just talked about specifically how she was treated, and she didn't talk about anyone in particular, and how even then it wasn't directly linked to necessarily the royal family. It was linked to the people, from what I understood, who make the big decisions, which is just like a board of people who make decisions on what gets published, what is being told to the public and stuff like that. Like the decisions that she can make on a daily basis, the fact that she wasn't allowed to leave her house for months.
She said that she left her house twice in 4 months.
It's ridiculous.
And they told her to keep yourself, like, keep it on the low because you're very much out there right now.
Like,
very much out there.
Doing what?
Yeah.
Like, out where?
And I feel like that really reflects, like, the role of, like, the media in our society and the focus that they place on
bashing Black women.
Yeah.
Like, I think, like, even with forgot the name of the tennis superstar.
Oh.
That she wins everything.
How have you forgotten her name? This is so rude.
I know.
Are you talking about Serena?
Or Serena Williams. Why the hell did I... It's just a brain fart. But Serena Williams, for instance, the amount of times that she was compared to a monkey, or the amount of times that she was drawn in, like, those super exaggerated ways to basically look like either a monkey or, like, a savage, really. There's no other word to say it.
Every time, like, she would, like, smash her racket or something, when so many tennis players do that. I can literally attest to that, being a tennis player myself.
Even just, like women of colour, like, being bashed in the media in general for not really being able to just stand out for themselves or say like what they feel.
I know.
Without kind of getting some stereotype attached to that.
And the thing is that like the women that I see, especially being portrayed, black women in the media, are usually the most stereotyped version possible of black women, and so people just assume that that's the image of all black women, and the media has a huge role to play in that. And I just think that with everything that's happened, I mean, being a woman in general in society is difficult enough, but being a black woman on top of that, it's like people don't always take you seriously. So it's just like disappointing that this happened with someone like Meghan as well, who is not even the representation of all black women. I mean, physically she's not, and yet every single black woman understood how she felt. And
that was
could relate to that.
Like understanding, like this isn't new. I can completely understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, I think the next relevant thing would be Piers Morgan. I think
my guy.
His reaction. I think the next morning he had like a show, and then I think 2 black women questioned him about his attitude in particular and how they basically were behind Meghan, and I think that kind of caught him off guard because he wasn't expecting it. And they made very valid points, but again, if you look underneath in the comments, like you just have a shit ton of people just literally just talking smack and saying ridiculous things. Like I think one of the women was talking about how, you know, she, in her opinion, you know, she was completely respectful towards the queen, and that like she was making a very valid point, and that's something that her and, you know, a lot of black women live on like a daily basis. And Piers kept trying to cut her. Like he has this thing where he just interrupts people, and then
I've seen that so many times.
It genuinely like bothered me, because it's like you brought her here on the show to talk about this, and then you were so quick to just cut her off, and both of the women as well, and both of them were just kind of like, yeah, no, sorry, but like this is how we feel about the situation. And then obviously there's that point where one of Piers's co-hosts as well called him out and was like, this is not okay, like I think you're just a little bit butthurt because of the fact that she rejected you ages ago. And like it's just a little bit of a shame, really, and I just think like this shouldn't be the case, but at the end of the day, like it is what it is, right? And the fact that he walked off afterwards, I thought that was kind of funny, to be honest. It was a little bit childish. No, it was literally like childish. Like I think if you can't even address the fact that you were wrong in situations, and like he was objectively wrong. It's not even like he was just like, oh maybe. No, he was objectively wrong. So I think, and the fact that even his white male co-host was able to tell him that, it kind of reinforces my point, really. I just think that his behavior is a little bit despicable. What were your thoughts on like?
Very much so. Just like very typical, just standoff. Just complete lack of understanding or empathy towards the situation. And obviously he stands by his words. I don't see him changing that.
No.
But it's just like, it's just gross behavior, to be honest.
I find it absolutely disgusting how that's like I'm not even shocked by it. Like that is such like a real thing that like white privileged men that have power do.
No, even like I listened as well to the interview where he talks about how Meghan rejected him, and this was way before all of this even came out, and the sheer entitlement. It's just kind of like, Jesus Christ, you went out with her for drinks, which is a very common and chill thing that people do in the UK, first of all. It's like, it doesn't mean that it was potentially more than that. Maybe he assumed it was. Maybe, I don't know exactly how it went down, right? But at the end of the day, like, he was like, oh yeah, we had drinks, and then she left because she said, like, so she basically went to this other taxi, and it's like, well, maybe she just didn't vibe with you, and that's fine. Like, not every woman has to be interested in you, not every man has to be interested in you, like, I'm sorry to say, but, like, Piers is, like, not the most attractive, and I don't just mean physically, like personality wise, like I don't know if I would ever go there, so like
his whole presence.
So why is he shocked that potentially she wasn't interested like that, when I don't know if that was a prerequisite of them meeting up in the first place, and like it's just a little bit like, okay dude, I don't know, I was just like, okay, like this makes a lot more sense as to why he's acting like such a dick whenever talking about Meghan, because she rejected him once. Like it literally gives off like bitter old vibes, like
Yeah, which he is.
Why do you care?
You can reject someone and not feel like you could get attacked for it afterwards.
I know, especially since, like, she didn't even do anything that was overtly rude. Like, she just tried to get out of a situation, I feel, in the nicest way possible, which is to just take a cab and say she was going home, even though she wasn't. Which, trust me, as a woman, like, it does. You just want to be really, like, nice about the situation, but, like, at the same time, you don't want to come off as rude, and so you just kind of avoid it by, like, just going elsewhere. And I think a lot of men don't understand that this is also, like, a safety issue. A lot of women don't want to put themselves in a dangerous situation. No matter who the man is, we don't know if they could act differently. So
last kind of section of the podcast, just talking about like its kind of influence on like interracial relationships, and kind of like if you see that on TV, like how that changes your perception of them, if you've already got a perception of them anyways.
I just feel like when they first got together and like it was like their wedding and like this whole thing was happening, I feel like, and they also like they did talk about this like on the podcast that I also listened to, and how like a lot of black people, especially like black women, felt like, oh, like are finally like represented, like this might be a good thing, you know, like there's like a little hope out there. And then, like, when this happens...
Or not even just that, after the wedding, she was trashed.
That as well. But, like, just to see, like, how she's portrayed in, like, the media, how she's treated, and, like, learning about all these things, it just goes to show that there's just, like, personally, that gave me, like, there is zero way that like...
Yeah. It's a little bit, it's... not in a mean way, but it's kind of off-putting. It's kind of like you just think to yourself, wow, instead of putting yourself out there, you just kind of stay with what's familiar, which isn't a good thing, obviously, because like you need to expand your horizons or whatever. But I think it definitely has the implication of, well, if this happens to her, like at the level of the royal family, like what can happen at just like the local level, which is disappointing. But it's good to see like Harry obviously sticking up for her.
I thought that was great, like genuinely great. Because
a good thing on the relationship.
And I think that obviously Scout and I both have parents who are in an interracial relationship, right? So like,
why did I not clock that?
I don't know, but like, so like I think from my perspective, I never had like any sort of like questions about whether it was a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think my parents ever had any issues relating to that with their families as well, which might be special or might be like an anomaly. I don't know exactly, but I know like at least for them it wasn't an issue, especially at the time. Like you would assume that it might be, but it wasn't, and so I didn't grow up thinking anything bad of it. I didn't grow up thinking that I had to have a specific taste in men, and so I think I've kind of grown up liking a little bit of everything, not gonna lie. I didn't have like I didn't have a specific set ways. Obviously like I grew up around people who weren't black, right? So I think that wasn't the majority of what I was interested in, just because I didn't have access to it. And I think even now growing up, I don't necessarily care about specific races or anything like that. What I care about is whether we have shared experiences. I'm very much more interested, like going to be more interested in people who are international or who have grown internationally, just because we have similar experiences in that level. 100%. And then people who are open, people who like are ambitious as well, because that's kind of how I am. So I'm looking more for character traits than I am for like specific race. Obviously like there might be some physical aspects that I do enjoy, but that to me can come around in literally any race as well. So like I think that overall I'm not like, how do I say it? Like I'm not like enclosed in like my one mindset, and I don't feel like I will be even after this, even though I have to say it was really disappointing watching this. But I think by being someone who's mixed as well, I kind of have access to a lot more spaces as well, just because I know a little bit, I'm a little bit white, I'm a little bit black, and so I have access to like those people and who I could potentially like date, I guess. But I think that overall I don't think that this gave a very good image to like the UK and their like ideas of mixed relations, like
I don't think it gave especially since it was so like, it's the media have commented on it so much, it's just amplified and blown it up. And obviously, like, you're gonna look at them and think this is kind of like what happens when you engage in like an interracial relationship,
especially if you've never had one, you know,
exactly,
and especially if that's something you're already nervous about in the first place, because I know a lot of black women are shamed they're shamed for ever dating a white man.
Oh yeah, for sure.
A lot more than black men with white women, I find.
100%.
Because you look in the media, every single famous black man pretty much either has a white woman or a very, very light-skinned black woman.
Yeah. But then like that same energy isn't held the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when it's women, it's like, oh, you're a traitor, oh, you're like, you know what I mean? Or like, why aren't you supporting black men or whatever? And I think that's a bit of a shame. Yeah, because I'm sorry, but like it should be equality.
That's a whole topic in itself.
Yeah,
honestly.
But I think overall, like, yeah, this marriage in general, I was so happy about it. Like, I genuinely was like, holy shit, like this is amazing.
Yeah,
like,
me too.
She's marrying a prince. Like, she's literally having her dream. And I really loved her because I watched Suits. Yeah. So I was like, I already knew who she was, and I was like very like happy about it. I have to say, like I was.
Invested,
So I think that it was a little bit like disappointing when I saw all this negative press, and like honestly, not gonna lie, I don't think I believed any of it. I was like, okay, this is bullshit. I was literally like, this is bullshit. I remember just like looking at it and not thinking like, oh, it's a shame that she's like this. I was just like, why are they saying this when like, you know what I mean? Like I thought it was ridiculous, and I was always wondering, like, is this even true? Like, I was always questioning it, because you know how the media is as well.
Yeah, so you can't trust everything.
Exactly.
I think overall, it kind of felt like a step forward, and then like 100 steps backwards.
Yeah.
But it's good to see, like, that not everyone is on Piers Morgan's side. Like, a lot of people do see the, like, what's wrong in it. And I think in terms of, like, interracial relationships, even though, like, that it does portray kind of like the bad side, everything has a bad side, and I think it's just like navigating both and not taking it to heart, basically,
and just learning from it as well. Like, I genuinely hope that people are reflecting a little bit more on what's going on and thinking to themselves that like they need to be doing better. I think because like I genuinely do hope that, because if no one's learning anything from it, then
that's a shame.
That would genuinely be a shame, and if anything, it's damaging. So like I genuinely just hope that things get sorted easier. So I think overall we kind of like went over everything we wanted to go through, and we just kind of wanted to leave it on like a good note, and hopefully, you know, things do change for the better. I think a lot of people are recognizing that, you know, things need to change, so that's good. And a lot of companies are also taking a lot more accountability, you know, as someone who now has a placement. That was like important in like my recruitment of like which companies I was going to apply for. So I think that that's good that that's coming out a lot more now. And I think, you know, thank you for listening, guys. Next week we're going to have a conversation about safety of women in general, because obviously a lot has come up recently about that with International Women's Day, and we just kind of wanted to address that and kind of give our points of view on that, and you know, hopefully that will be interesting as well. But thank you for listening, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.